Hello from Gardening at Douentza here in Ireland, and you're welcome to this orchid repotting video. Today our subject is Laelia anceps, which is a very rambling kind of plant that has well outgrown its pot and presents a couple of challenges to repotting. So, well, today we're going to repot this baby. Let's get on with it. Okay, so before we start, let's have a look at this plant in a bit more detail. As you can see, this is quite a large plant and it is very healthy. It has a lot of growing points. Can you see down here? We have a new growth. We also have a new growth here. We have a third new growth. Well, we've got one here. And a fourth one, or so, 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth one over here. So it's a very healthy plant, but it's never flowered for me. Now this is one that can tolerate quite cold temperatures in winter, and I keep it at a 5-degree minimum in the greenhouse. I've also tried keeping it indoors, but it refuses to flower. So we're going to today repot it and see if that can make a difference, because as you'll see from the front, the roots come out over the pot and obviously they're not getting sufficient moisture, so that's going to do it no favours really. It's an awkwardly shaped plant. It really is very linear, doesn't spread out much, just grows forward and forward, which is why I put it in this aquatic basket to start with. And it did well in here for a while, but now it's out over the edge and it presents other challenges. So I'm going to repot the plant in this container here. Now this is actually a seed tray, but it's made of quite sturdy plastic, and I really like my clay pots, but I'm not going to find anything that's pretty and aesthetic to plant this plant in, and plus the plastic does well in the greenhouse over winter when temperatures are cool. So it has some holes at the bottom. It's quite wide, but what can you do? Okay, so first thing I guess is to start taking this out of its pot, and it's been soaked for a couple of hours first of all, just to make sure that the roots are nice and supple, and I guess I'm just going to decant it here. I just move the plant around here first, because as you can see, this root has grown in through the holes of the pot and it's kind of anchoring it in position, so it will be a challenge to get this out without breaking it, but I will give it a try. And I can actually see that this root is branched on the inside, making it a bit tricky. Maybe if I just loosen the back bit first. So out it comes, and that was quite easy, but the attachment, the problem is still this root at the front. And let's just turn this around now and have a look at the inside of the pot. And you can see that the root has come through the hole and it's gone down and it's attached itself to a whole load of stuff here. So I think there is nothing to be done except to, it's a good root too. What we're just going to have to do is cut the root. There we go. Let's just work at getting the bark off of this plant, this very big plant. And the roots aren't in bad condition either. And here is my plant, a really big plant with good roots, new growths, 4 new growths at least, and the potential for more, and a very rambling habit. So we can see here that the rhizome divides. So the rhizome starts here, goes down here, and then we have a joining point in here, and then the main part of the rhizome then continues all the way up here to the top. So it's a bit of a monster. And to think, when I got this plant first, it was mounted, which I'm not prepared to do, not prepared to water plants every day. But when I took it off the mount, I actually divided it. Can you imagine what an enormous monster I would have now if I hadn't divided it? I'm kind of amazed at how wonderful this plant is, really, such a healthy specimen. But the bad news is that I've actually broken a piece, which you can see this bit here wibbling, and it's actually broken, so I think we're going to have to snip that off. And now we're just going to lower the plant onto the pot and just see what's going on. It's this piece here is actually broken, so I'm gonna snip it off. Which is a shame, but I will pot that up separately. It's got a new growth as well. So let's just put that to the side for the moment, and then I'm going to look at putting this plant into this container. And as you can see, the container isn't too big for it at all. Now let's just kind of display the roots. Before I start backfilling with the bark, I'm actually going to tie the plant in place via the holes, and for that I'm going to use this wire which is coated in plastic. And I will start off by just cutting some longish strips. Okay, so this is the hole that I'm going to go in through from the bottom with the wire. Just grabbing my wire here. I am going to thread the wire through the plant. This is where it divides. Grabbing the main rhizome, and I'm going to put the wire out through this other hole here. And I'm not going to be too ambitious with this first wire. I am just first of all pulling the rhizome back as far as I can against the back of the container, because we want to have as much space as we can for this plant to maneuver. I'm just going to twist this wire at the back where you can't see, just positioning it nice and tight. Okay, so that is quite firmly in place. It doesn't move. This front bit moves, but it doesn't move, which is really, really good news. So I'm now moving up to the second set of holes in the container. So there, and over here on the other side where you can't really see. You probably can't see that, but never mind, you'll see it as it pops out. Here it is. Here we go. And the other hole is underneath the roots. So down we go with this. And look, we have roots with green root tips. It's a really, really healthy plant. And now for round 3. So jumping up to the next set of holes, which is here and underneath the plant on the other side. Poking the wire through here. Working out where I'm going to thread. There's a new growth here I really don't want to damage, so I will be careful of it. And we'll go around the new growth and around this pseudobulb here and poke the wire down here through this hole. Now, with that in place, I'm going to show you the back of the container as I tighten this wire, and then And then here, keeping it as flat as I can, I twist the wire. And I'll tighten this up later. And look at this little green tipped root that wants to pop through the hole. Let's just go and pull him back so he doesn't get damaged. Yeah, I'm going to tie a fourth set of wire at the top there. Looking up here, being careful of this growth here. That wire wants to go directly across the new growth, which we can't do. So what I'm going to do instead is remove the wire from here and put it in through this hole I've already used. That's going to work better because I'm now not going across new growth. The back of the container, I will now try and, okay, so that's my plant firmly attached in its container. I think this is really a work of art, and I have been inspired to do this from my visit to Kew last autumn when I went to see behind the scenes at Kew Gardens and saw some of the big rambling coleogenes there that they just couldn't grow in any sensible way, so they actually backed them onto some paper, really, some cardboard, and just let them run and do their thing. And hopefully this plant now will do really well. Now I guess let's give it a bit of bark. You can see there's a little bit of perlite mixed in here, which I'm sure will do it no harm. Now, this new growth down here is slightly buried, but it's kind of upturned, so I think it will work its way up in time. And so here we are, potted up, and just taking careful note of where my growths are. So I have one here sticking up. There is one down here which is a bit dusty. I've made sure not to cover it, but it's like quite far down. Now it will actually turn around and come up. I just need to make sure not to cover it in the time being. And the same with this other third one over in here. Okay, and I guess that brings me to the end of this repotting video for Laelia anceps. Now I'm not going to water this plant for a few days because I did make a cut, and this is a plant that lives in a cool greenhouse, so I don't want to take any chances at all. I'll wait until it heals and then I'll water it, and hopefully this plant will go from strength to strength and reward me at last with some flowers. Anyway, we'll see. Okay, thank you very much for watching as always, and please do check back for lots more orchid and plant related videos. Have a great day. Bye.